Okay, so I have a fan on. I don't really care. Holy Jesus! Stop. So I think one of the biggest reasons as to why a lot of artists, or at least today's artist, draws girls almost exclusively, especially when it's like on popular platforms like Twitter and all that. I think it has a lot to do with just the fact that art likes to, in some way, is like kind of a mimic or like a critique. Not even a critique. It's always like a sponge and a reflection of like how life is. And I know there was like, a bunch of marbled statues of like ladies and all that since like the dawn of like making art and all this. But I mean, just like specifically, how the fuck do I play this? I think specifically, it's like the type of like art that I usually see a lot of is usually like either sexy or cute, sort of like pinups that are really reminiscent of kind of selfie energy. And I think that's also part of it. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that like the type of media, the type of social media that you're on will dictate the type of art that you see. That's why you have like a Tumblr style. That's why you have like a Newgrounds style. That's why you have like, I guess Instagram kind of has its own style. They're more along the lines of what I was talking about. I think Twitter style is more of like sort of a mix of everything because it's the bigger one, but it is also just oh my shit. It is also just like primarily catering towards like, well, if you're starting new on there or something, or if you want to garner any kind of attention, it's typically gonna have to be like really like female related or whatever. It's and I think a lot of that also has to do with I think this day and age is also kind of probably subconsciously, metaphysically sort of speaking, I think there's like we're outcrying for compensation for the absence of something. I'm not just speaking for myself, I mean just in general, the kind of things that you illustrate when it comes to like a lot of like, female-centric art is usually kind of like comforting to look at. It's usually like kind of just eye candy. There's nothing really going on with it. There's nothing like super actiony or like thought-provoking about it or anything. It's like, or not even that it's heavy thought-provoking, but I mean it's versatile enough. You can give it some more actiony situations. It's just the thing is, if you're like, the biggest formula is like sexiness and nostalgia, and if you can properly combine the both of those, you're definitely going to be a shoo-in. Usually, and it's not too rare, but if you make something more uniquely yourself, or like something for yourself, whatever, like an OC or anything, it's usually going to have to fall along the same like guidelines design-wise as a lot of the girls that are going to get you more attention online as an artist or whatever. You don't you have the ability to do things outside of that, but it won't garner as much attention, or it won't be pushed as frequently to the people who do want to see stuff like that. Or even if you are already big or have a reasonable following, if you switched up your formula and say like I mean I'm obviously, what the hell, I'm obviously very guilty of like toon gooning bullshit, but like I've noticed throughout the few years I've been doing this that like if I decided to like draw some dudes or whatever, like go back to basics, like kind of something more recognizable the way I like to do things, it could, like, artistically or skill wise, it could be up there with everything else I've done before, or it could be like, I don't know, there's something about it could just be good, if not better than what I usually do. But because it's less recognizable or just not a girl, it will like fall by the wayside, which is definitely a petty complaint for the most part, because it is mainly just sort of a reflection of like, because what people enjoy in mass, it very little of it, I mean, a lot of it does have, some of it does have to do with like an algorithm or whatever, but I think for the most part it is just sort of like the collective consciousness rather they kind of agree upon they'd rather see something along the lines of like this or that, you know what I mean? Like they'd rather see something that is always hitting the dopamine as much as possible. Something that like hits its mark where it's just it's just eye candy sort of things. Like it doesn't really sort of complicate the eyes or like challenge a different perspective of what you're looking at. Usually when you're scrolling around, you're used to just finding something as pretty as possible and then scrolling past it like less than a second later to the next thing. But it depends, because like because obscurity of any kind is usually kind of a death sentence, which I've always thought was lame as hell. Jesus Christ, I transformed and I got my ass whooped. I always thought it was lame as hell because, like, I don't know, it might just be specifically because all my life I have just had, like, the sensibilities of an artist or whatever, and I always see skill set before I see anything else. Before I see, like, oh, this is fucking Pokemon, this is the new trainer of the week, goddamn. I give a fuck about that. I never really cared about, like, the newest thing being portrayed by somebody who has, like, the free will to do pretty much whatever the hell else they want, you know what I mean? It's always been, like, and that's probably why I gravitate more towards seeing new shit or, like, front page shit on, like, Newgrounds, because it has, to me, it's more balanced there. You'll still have, I mean, obviously it's a haven for degenerate shit, mainly, like, shit rendered in Blender or whatever the fuck. You see, like, front page shit is more balanced, where you'll get like a mixture of things that are more relevant to whatever kind of trendy atmosphere. Fuck. It would things that would be fall along the lines of like, oh, this is like cute or sort of sexy or whatever, but it would be mixed in with things that are sort of like more conceptual when you look at it. Things that are more like designy and kind of grimy. Things that are more like, I don't know. I think you're gonna see more appreciation for different shit there, and I fuck with that hard. What the hell? Am I playing this again? Fuck it. I have mad appreciation for that more than anything. It's like at some point, everything kind of falling along the same guidelines of like, you have to draw this or do this, and like and it's not like dictated, I get that, but clearly if you're online sharing your art, what you do want primarily is to be seen, and one of the biggest guidelines for that, to do that, is to sort of fall along these conforming guidelines. Otherwise you're gonna have to do the harder thing and like stand out in a very, very insanely impactful way. It's sort of, where was I going with it? I don't know. It's just sort of bullshit that you are kind of caught in the midst of having to like make more masturbatory content, so to speak, like that. I'm losing my train of thought. I was thinking of something to say, something else to add on to that, but I have lost it. Fuck it. Point being, I think there's been a few times I've drawn like dudes or whatever in a way that felt like fun to me, that I think like, yeah, I got some attention for that, but it usually had to be like things that were kind of hard not to be like significantly relevant, like when I drew Jotaro that one time. What I drew, I don't think Naoto got that much, but fucking one of the Fooly Cooly ones I did pretty good. I did enjoy seeing that. I thought, oh well, I put a lot of design elements. I did a lot of different sort of techniques that I don't normally do for that one. That's pretty nice to see that one get attention. What the fuck? Yeah, I think that. So, yeah, my conclusion... Okay, there they are. So, yeah, I would say my conclusion for all this shit is just primarily, there's a significant wave of, like, a type of, like, today's consciousness is way more into, like, girly overload. In so many ways, in so many senses of the word. Like, whether, like, East or West. It's just girl overload. It's also like we draw the things that are significant to whatever kind of things we're absorbing, watching and shit. Like like anything that's like broadcasted. Like a lot of like take it. I guess for East and West, there's like pretty significant examples I can make of this, of how like the paradigm is sort of yielded more towards like making things more girly or masturbatory or whatever, versus just it being kind of more like, you know, loose. It's like look at like anime and like old OVAs back in the day, and how like how versatile they were then. And of course you still had your like sex appeal shit, eye candy and all that, but it's like they still had a lot more rad shit going on. You still had things that were like, well, I mean, there's plenty of examples, but I'm gonna pick the ones that have made me laugh or enjoy what I'm seeing the most. Like shit like Mad Bull 34, shit like fucking Bean Writer. Wait, what is it? Writing Bean? Things, or even things that were just like had like female leads or whatever. And it was just mainly for eye candy somewhat, but what they were doing was interesting, or their setting was interesting. Like you know, what was it? Cat Gun Girls or something. I don't retain these names easily when I'm trying to juxtapose me talking about girl overload and playing fucking Senran Kagura over it. But oh my god, I want to change a character right now, but I don't know. Hold on, I think I should know how. Wait, god damn, that's how you do it. Okay, I want to be. Oh, should I be Asuka or should I be Hibari? Oh, Jesus. No, I'll be fucking Asuka. I'll fucking change to Hibari later. Where the fuck was I? Oh, goddamn. Oh my god. Oh my shit, I fucked it up. Whatever. Yeah, fuck it. Suck my dick. Where was I? Yeah, so like you look at like old OVAs and shit back in the day, and it seemed like there was just more versatility for the kind of things that were being presented. There was a lot more. It was a lot more tighter storytelling. I mean, it's not like everything was fucking OVA, but I mean just the fact that there was the standout things back then, especially with like certain movies and all that. It just seemed like it was more oriented towards sort of balancing out the parts of your mind that wanted to see certain things. Like as far as the more, I would say, like, you know, the female part of your brain does just enjoy aesthetics and enjoys seeing how like the passive interest between things are, you know, which is just what design elements happen to be, because thematics is a huge aspect in like making things sort of appealing or attractive or like cute or whatever, right? But holy shit. But it's not exactly substance oriented part of the brain, right? Because like it's sort of the reason why today you can have a movie that's gorgeous but it had no story, but people will still love it anyways. It's just like the right side of their brain, or like the more like female oriented part. But like back in the day, there was entertainment that was catering to the other side of the mind, the more like male side of the brain that did want some like action or substance or like certain stakes involved in what was going on, sort of an intelligent way of like moving the puppets you have on screen, you know? Like it gave purpose to like some of what you were looking at. Oh my god, I can't play this anymore. I don't know. I used to play the hell out of this. This feels shitty. Whatever. And that being said, with like Western shit, our cartoons and stuff, and even movies, but I'll start with cartoons. Our cartoons and stuff were more like oriented towards like sort of like a satirical or slapsticky sort of really interesting, like really visually interesting things. Fucking hell. So our shit was more catered to like more like visually interesting things that like conveyed certain emotions, like like pain, like irritation, like confusion, like laughter, like anything, like Looney Tunes shit, you know what I mean? And it was more versatile. The way, like, a lot of those things, you watch any clips of, like, old Looney Tunes, the shit holds up like a motherfucker, like, more than anything, like old Tom and Jerry. And those are just, like, little examples of shit, because, I mean, I haven't gotten into, like, oh, the era of, like, you know, a little bit post Y2K sort of, like, cartoons, where it was, like, action-oriented, where you had, like, a lot of DC animations, like, you know, Batman animated series all the way to, like, Justice League Unlimited, so, like, Teen Titans or whatever the fuck. But, like, you see where, like, in essence, things had a bit more of, like, a sharpness, things had a bit more, like, it was catering to, again, more, like, it was catering visually to the part of your mind that wanted to see things be, like, visually interesting or whatever, like a cute side of things, or like, whatever you would call that. But it was also in essence doing things that were on the offensive, you know, or things that were just objectively, like, well, I don't know. Everything had like an edge to it that people do fucking crave like a motherfucker now. That people back then were kind of like, you know, they would cringe at anyone who would consider they want a little bit more fucking like bite to whatever they're looking at, you know. That's especially what's happening with like a lot of Cartoon Network era, like post 2010 shit. Like that's where like when the downfall actually occurred. When you notice that there was like sort of something was fucking slipping, especially in like art style, right? And like style does just denote the function of what it is you're watching or absorbing. It'll tell you quite a bit about just what it is that these characters will be doing or what they're going to engage themselves with. An art style can tell you a whole hell of a lot without them doing like so much of anything. So part of what the issue is that there's like a lack of balance, and something can be presented one way and like act a whole different way. It would be presented with a style that seems it can be more versatile than it actually presents itself to be, or it'll be pretty direct with its presentation and something like, I don't know, and something with like more CalArtsy style will just kind of give you an idea of how shallow and annoying the fucking show's gonna be. It's one of those things, and even like in movies, we don't have too many other, like a lot of the, I don't know, with a lot of the, we don't really have a lot of standout interesting films anymore, as far as just like things that were kind of just bombastic and had some fucking wacky bullshit that we don't really concentrate on a gimmick that would be like action oriented or like filled with some kind of like satirical comedy or something that's like gonna be iconic and kind of like last for years to come or whatever the fuck, you know, something that needs some bite, something that needs like a lot more of a sting in order to be completely, in order for it to like embed itself completely in your mind. The kind of shit that everyone keeps rebooting is what I'm talking about. For some reason, somehow, some way, all that innovation is gone, and the ability to like innovate or like change, to be able to innovate or like change whatever you're looking, whatever kind of shit that you were already absorbing that was inspiring you to make things in the first place, and then have the understanding enough of it to then be able to like take all of that inspiration, all that energy, and mash them all up and then create something new and something that basically advances. It advances and it honors in tribute to whatever you're making. You know, it's not just something that you're just copying right off the bat. It's not something that you're taking the name of and then just you're just reorchestrating its context. I mean, a big part of like the like cheap feminization of things, like the obvious thing of just like, oh, let's make an all-female Ghostbusters for some fucking reason, you know, or just like things along that annoying ass line. I don't even have to explain the rabbit hole for that, but that sort of thinking, replacing the type of thinking that you had once before, that was not only taking chances, but it was just working each and every time, and you didn't have to really give it too many excuses. It was just simply put, yeah, this fucking works. This is actually rad and is awesome. Or it's touching. This is actually a nice emotional thing that's going on here. Or this is funny. This is the ability to really strike those specific nodes, those points, those rhythms, everything about like what art is supposed to convey. These motherfuckers have absolutely lost 100% without a shadow of a doubt, and it's because they're stuck on stupid. They're stuck on just stealing other IPs and just trying their damnedest to integrate their sense of mediocrity into it. And completely recontextualizing how the story once was, or how the characters once felt, or whatever the fuck, just so that it can then profit off of like a new form of thinking, and it then just bounces from director to director, from creator to creator, just to be fucking debilitated, disabled, if anything. And what's one of the things? And again, when you're making like a bunch of reboots or recalls to things, it's memory related, it's a stationary thing, it's something that's happened before, so it's basically like a trinket, it's memorabilia, it's nostalgia. That's basically what they're banking off of, which again is like a more infantile part of the mind is going to be appealed to that, you know? And sometimes nostalgic bullshit is interesting just for the sake of seeing how retarded it's going to be, for the sake of seeing how, like, okay, how are they gonna possibly fuck this one up? Because there's no way this is a good idea. Or just banking off of things that have yet to end, and then just interpreting them in ways that you've never seen done before, in horrible, awful, really annoying, shitty ways. Like need I say, like the fucking soon to come One Piece Netflix show. Live action. The fucking Cowboy Bebop live action. Any anime live action by like Westerners, or even just by Japan themselves, sucks utter dick and never needs to happen. Because it completely undercuts and disregards like the point of having a visual medium as versatile and as like time consuming as animation is. And something that should be taken more fucking probably not so seriously that you get all these fat cats and big ass fucking like elitist pigs trying to like think they know what they're doing with certain IPs or whatever the fuck, and they just go fucking AWOL with it. Or like, again, just like having people reboot shit like Indiana Jones and completely recontextualize it for whatever new sort of audience, but not realizing that that franchise died like with the sequel before making another thing like that, you know? Sort of having like these motherfuckers having no new ideas in their mind, so they don't have any ability to really respect what came before, and they would then just take the most like cheap and retarded aspects of it and try to appeal to the dumbest part of your mind. And they've done a good job terraforming people, or like their sensibilities, because there's so many things they're getting away with that people are still watching, that people are still gobbling the fuck up, that bit by bit just get worse and worse. And the only thing that you have a lot of people saying is like, oh, a lot of it's bolstered by normies or whatever the fuck, right? But like it's like deep down, it's usually this thing of where people are like, well, you know, whatever, it's no big deal. It could have been worse. I've seen worse or whatever the fuck. Without, I have a problem with allowing the ship to sink. I'm like, the more, yeah, it starts sinking a depth of like a few inches every year, but that eventually starts, it takes on more and more water, and it becomes impossible to come back up out of that. You know what I mean? It's just something I don't agree with, not bitching about the smallest annoying thing. When you know the place that it comes from is, it used to be amazing. It used to be something that, like, I don't know, it's just, you feel like it shouldn't be that hard to innovate and make really cool things again, you know what I mean? It's usually because they're not giving the people with good ideas actual chances anymore. And anytime they do give one of them chances, they usually end up fucking them over by like giving their like running their idea into the fucking ground and making it annoying as hell. You know what I mean? There's there's an example there's a few examples of that I could say, but because of how beloved those, like, sequels or reboots, or not even reboots, like, sequels and spin-off movies are to motherfuckers, especially the so-called art community. I don't want to say a word about it, but just know I do not agree with so many of the things that people will. Oh my god. You know, here's one thing I'm not afraid to talk about. And this does also run into the category of, like, and basically, well, at least in advertising. The fucking Suicide Squad isekai. Now, honestly, I could rant longer about isekai alone, and how that is also a symptom of, like, the poisoned well of just, like, over-feminization and fetishization of things that would otherwise, and have otherwise, had fucking substance. The way that trailer looked for the Suicide Squad isekai, it was, I mean, obviously it put Harley Quinn on the pedestal. It made her look like, they did their fucking research. They definitely looked up all the people, all, like, the people who were able to draw in that style and draw in well-rendered, sort of, like, cute ways, like the Bishoujo fucking figures and all that, where they make, like, other DC characters, but in, like, cute anime figure form. Like, they found people online, probably Twitter, that were able to use that style years ago, and, like, oh my god, look at anime Harley Quinn, but, like, I think fucking maybe we might have to just make a show out of that. It seems like it's what the people want. Like, they use AI brain. They do just use AI brain and just, like, take into account, like, okay, what's popular online? And because the online world is just, the online world is like the synthetic, like, telepathic breeding ground. Every little thought, every little desire we have is just on there, and it's easy to read more than ever what the fuck people want. But on paper, even just at face value, you're not really digging into, like, truly what people desire. You're just seeing what the superficiality of, like, what people happen to be discussing is always something that is just relevant or is just there, you know, without much forethought around it. But just to make something, again, it's appealing. No one's thinking about how retarded it is, and if they are, that's the only reason they're even on board with it. And the other fucking reason, which I probably saw more abundantly, was like, oh, they look cool. Oh wow, it looks neat. I'm all here for it. I like the stitching on the Joker's mouth. It's neat. They're getting isekai'd. I'm gonna go to let's talk about isekai. Why in the hell has that been has that been bolstered to such a nauseating degree? Everything is a fucking isekai. It's fucking disgusting, dude. When I was like 15 or whatever, let's say like from 15 to probably about 20, I had gotten my fill off of all the gooning, like all the gooner bullshit anime shit, like all the like ecchi pervy shit, all the fucking harem shit, all that. That was my religion for a long time, and I am absolutely I OD'd on it. I'm sick of it, and living the kind of like dour lifestyle I do now, where reality isn't quite present, and you're trying to fight the tide of that. It's all too clear what I'm looking at when I see like isekai bullshit. It's not simple eye candy to me. It's like exploiting lonely motherfuckers. It's exploiting like young stupid ideas. It doesn't add anything to them. It doesn't make it like interesting or whatever. It doesn't even make it funny. The only ones that do, the only isekai I respect at all, that I'll give any time of day, is just Konosuba. That's it. That's completely it. Just because it just mocks its own genre in a way. It is like funny. It isn't trying to like, none of the characters there are like, I mean, people will just say, oh, I fucking love Trash Taste Podcast. I have a waifu in your fucking Konosuba. I love Aqua. Oh, I love Megumin. She's so tiny. Oh, she's so tiny. Look, aside from those fuckers, like, the characters are just presented like the least fetishistically. They just kind of play off of their own gags, their own stupidity, their own other. Oh, the text. They play off of just humor, and there's merit in humor. There's something. It's just better for the brain. I think humor over humor is better. It is a healthier medium to take in when you don't have to like take things seriously or like be hypnotized needlessly by bullshit. You know, I don't like the idea of having to like shut off your brain and enjoy blah blah blah. I think it just says, I don't know, someone once said, I heard in like some YouTube video, like it just says a lot about you. If like you have to turn your brain off a lot to enjoy something, it just says a lot about how fucking retarded you are. Like I absolutely do not agree with that sort of shit. I hate that. I think you should be able to like relax and watch something, absolutely, because that means it's doing a good job of like keeping you hooked in without having to like tax your like ability to pay attention to anything too much. But it also should, when you come out of that, you should be able to pay attention to it, and because like first of all, why wouldn't you want to pay attention to something like, have you like the amount of effort that takes into making a show, a movie, or any kind of entertainment whatsoever isn't just as easy as like a press of a button. What the hell am I doing? It's not as easy as that's what I was avoiding. I didn't want to get my ass whooped because I forgot to fucking play the game. It's not as easy as just pressing a button. I mean, of course you have AI problems, but those AI fags do not exist. Okay, that's not real. But and I refuse to acknowledge it. That shit, all of it takes effort. Even shitty material, that takes effort. You have people that are like bleeding through their fucking gums trying to make those things come to life, no matter what the hell it is. And I think no matter what, especially if it is fucking bad, they have every right for someone who is paying attention to fucking know that. Because if that is indeed part of their passion, and if it's something that you actually give a fuck about, you're gonna want to demand higher quality from it if like the calling comes. I just do not agree with like shutting your brain off for that shit. But that's what they've done for the most part. They've taken up a lot. I don't know how the hell I'm gonna censor those. I have the fucking naked mod on this. Anyways, speaking of, I hate gooning. I don't like the idea that like in every which way just these fat fuckers that have their like finger on the pulse of like entertainment out there and shit. They have mastered the ability to give people like the fucking like masturbatory brain where they are just, you can just give them anything and they'll just eat it up. Your little fucking you're the little piggies in your little piggy pen and shit. Like you mean less than nothing in that case. You have no demands. You can just be given almost anything at this point. And even when they give you something bad, you bolster it, you put it on such a pedestal that it ends up becoming popular because it gets hate watched or whatever the fuck. It's like it becomes unavoidable and it constantly drowns out everything else that you should just be praising to high heaven, you know what I mean? And a lot of that has to do with just like, I don't know, it's fucking cheerleader brain. The people are getting cheerleader brain. It's like not even the good version of like when I'm talking about like female brain or whatever. It's not like some kind of when I'm using the word brained or the suffix brained, it's not really like some 4chan shit. I mean like the literal hemispheres of your mind are given more like feminine or masculine qualities, where the left side is more about calculating things, it's more about the rigidity of shit, it's logic based. The right side is the creative, more like liberating side or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? And with every singular being you have both, and you should just balance it out. I always say, you know, between between right wing or left wing, you just be the whole bird. You can't be free if you're not the entire bird. You can't fly off of one wing alone. This is not bode well. You can't just fly off of like one of these wings, or even just central. The centrists are just the this has become a different rant. Centrists are just the fucking like the torso. You can't fly with a torso. You can't do anything with a torso. Like most most people I know that have like middle ground takes on things don't progress the conversation. They always just want to find ways to stop it. But that's what I'm saying. When it comes to, I mean, that like the principles that come along with like right or left sort of shit is just the elements of an entire being. It's like fucking. It's again, just be the whole bird. Don't ever like. I mean, obviously you can have like more of a bias from one side or the other, and in your storytelling and the way that you create things, always have a bias for what you do. That's what makes you unique. Your ego, your bias, your shit makes you unique. You just have to fucking dress it up in a way that it gives sort of credence to how intelligent the work is, you know? That's the other part, really. Like, there's an acceptance of your own innocence, of what you like, what you have, what you deal with, what's unique to you, all this stuff. That's innocent, you know? That's all you. But then it's the responsibility of just, all right, how do I orchestrate this? And the responsibility end is something that people really struggle with. And it's hard not to struggle with, but it's hard that people struggle with because it's like, it's where you now have to orchestrate things. It's now where you have to like disconnect yourself from what you have established emotionally just to get it the fuck where it needs to be. It's the more paternal end. It's where like, you might not like me, but I have to fucking think this and this and that have to be done in order to progress properly. Like the more motherly aspect of this thing that comes first, you know, it's innocence and then it's responsibility. That's the sequence for balancing out the human being. The innocence of just recognizing you are who you are, nurturing that, loving that unconditionally, and then get that fucker in gear and utilize it for whatever it needs to be, especially in context and in connection with its setting. You know, it's the doer side of that thing. You have a stationary, passive side of existence that is, you know, the more feminine side, the more decorative side, the more like you can kind of do no wrong, you're good as you are sort of side, which also has been utilized in a very toxic manner in making people think being fucking like 700 pounds overweight makes you beautiful. Fucking that's in the same way. Like, needless violence towards whoever the fuck, for whatever fucking reason, that's arbitrary, is a misuse of, like, the masculine side of consciousness, or the mind, or whatever, you know what I mean? So, like, just, that form of adversity has been utilized, like a motherfucker against humanity. You know, I think everyone's noticed that, but, like I was saying, you always have to, in sequence, balance the shit out. When you want to create something, you have to accept what you feel. You have to know what you've like taken in that's inspired you to like then manifest into something. Even like just give your mind a break and just let the shit flow. And then once you've spilt everything, like all your guts, like now rearrange them into the placement it's supposed to be to work properly. And that's why some that's why some people have like, you know, like editors and shit. When you're like a massive, when you're like in a constant creative state, you are out of your fucking mind. You're literally this loopy bitch right here. You're making those gargoyle hands. That's what your mind's doing constantly, because you're just taking in essence what exists and just fucking dumping all of it, no matter how. Like, you're basing everything off of instinct at that point. But once you've gotten that out of the way, that's then when you need to be able to flip the switch or have someone else do it that's trustworthy to be able to figure the fuck out where that needs to be sorted. Now, the big downside of that is, well, anyone can take advantage of a person like that. You know, that's how a lot of artists got taken advantage of, especially industry artists, where they have like their passion, they have like their dream thing, but then it gets completely overshadowed by like corporate bullshit, where it's like, okay, well, this is the great story and all, but we have to like switch it, we have to change this, and that line. Also, make sure they're in outer space, and make this lead a girl, and also you need to make them not a girl to begin with, and you find out that they were something else all along, and and then set up make the whole movie 2.5 hours of setup, and then just give them a cliffhanger at the end and say, watch the third movie. Protect trans kids. That kind of bullshit. Like, that's the sort of that's the sort of shit I'm talking about, and that's what you're living in. That's the kind of state of entertainment you exist in currently. That has a lot to do with what you see artistically happening right now. There's not a lot of artists at the moment. I mean, they exist. There's not too many artists at the moment that are like rebelling against that particular status quo and making things sort of feel more retro, making things feel like, oh yeah, we're getting back on track, you know what I mean? It seemed like, if you ask me, it felt like everything entertainment-wise has been on a fucking standstill because there's been nothing but that type of garbage, and it's just been allowed to, like, bolster for too fucking long. And of course, I don't know, of course, depending on where you look, things are actually amazing, but the fact that it's not bolstered to, like, a higher pedigree is very telling, and it's upsetting, because it's not fair, you know, it's unbalanced. Even games work that way. There's like, you know, that people have noticed, like, there's been, like, games that have actually been amazing, and then the shitty game buys their way to the top, you know? It's just, it's egregious. But when you're surrounded by shit like that, as an artist, you reverberate the things in your environment more easily, and you reverberate what your peers do most easily, and it's just the conformity you're falling into for the most part. And you try to find in some ways in that conformity to really tincture it to a more unique sense of yourself, but overall, again, you fall into monotonous behaviorism, monotonous fucking elements of design and shit, and like expression. Expression's a huge thing too. So, like, getting back more directly to the point with, like, the, like, why we draw girls constantly, on, like, Twitter or whatever the fuck, or just anywhere, really, why everything's more, like, female-centric, it's through that adaptation of, like, the kind of time we're living in and the kind of things that really get the most attention and the kind of things that have become more of a commodity because the natural interaction with it has lessened, like, a motherfucker in so many ways, and just, and again, the way it's all become more of a commodity is just also, it plays a huge role into it as well. The inescapable cycle has just caused people to just fall more in love with their own masturbatory ideas artistically, where they will be able to master more technical abilities for sure. I just doubt their ability to do more improvised, versatile things with their form of expression. Like, their form of expression is usually going to be based around, like, a lot of fucking, like, a Hegel bullshit, you know what I mean? Around, like, how do we make sweat look more realistic or anything, and not so much, like, how do I make someone look mildly upset? And not even, like, a sexual way, just, like, in like, a general way. How do I, like, set a scene in this drawing? And there's a lot of artists that I follow that I absolutely fucking have nothing but love for, that absolutely do, they have found a balance on how to, like, a perfect balance on how to, like, take nostalgic things or, like, recognizable bullshit and then just, like completely make it their own, make it like a gag, or make it something that, like, it just never been seen before. The things whenever you, like, the artists that add a bit of reality, or completely add reality to whatever they're illustrating, it stands out like a motherfucker because you connect with it on levels that are just more longer lasting. You know what I mean? Now, on the levels that, like, you can, like, there's less, there's, oh my god, there's on levels that are just going to last longer overall, right? It's what you actually want to see. It's what you want to have created. Something that actually speaks to more parts of you than the parts that you're basically worsening by just being like just gooning constantly. That doesn't get you to feel like you're really escaping from the issue. You're just sort of like, you know, again, you're just jilling off. You have a bunch of, like, you have a bunch of gooners and goonettes out there, and what's fascinating about that too is that I'm saying that there's a lot of, like, you know, female-related art, and, like, a lot of it is just like fetishized shit, and you don't have a lot of versatility outside of that. There's absolutely a place for type shit like that. Like this game I'm playing right now, even though I'm playing it shitty, it's one of my favorites. It's fucking, it's just big titty fuckers that you can dress up in a bunch of different ways, just fighting, in like a Dynasty Warrior sort of way. It's that there is absolutely a place for it in this world. In a perfect world, this does exist, absolutely. I'm just saying, it's monotonous to just have one thing particularly. In fact, this Senran Kagura shit is less monotonous because, again, it's action. It's actiony. It's not just me looking at like cutesy bullshit. It's not like some VN or whatever the fuck. It does have VN properties, but I mean, like, I feel like I'm like doing something. I'm using another part of my mind. I can like care about other things about it that'll hook me into anything else it has to offer. You know what I mean? It's like it's neat in that way. But I think also what I would say like what do I even mean by like what more variety do I want? Some of the variety I want I'm like waiting for because it is being developed. Like it's not, it hasn't gone away. It's just not that frequent, you know. Like how Jet Set Radio Future was. That's shit that was perfectly balanced with like the more the feminine and masculine side of the mind, and probably more masculine side just because it was based on more rad shit. But the more female side of it was just the fact that, or like right brain side of it, was the fact that it was amazing to look at, and a lot of it is just basing itself off of aesthetics. It's not really the most comprehensive form of like story or anything. I mean, it's easy to follow is what it's just not overcomplicated is really what I'm saying. It's and like even like the vibe of the music and everything, like it's the type of things that people will be nostalgic for that weren't even born to like for it, like in the time that you would have been playing that sort of thing. Like people who are like fucking like 17 like are digging that sort of vibe and aesthetic that came out of fucking 2002. You know what I mean? It's very fascinating to see that come back to the forefront. I absolutely love it, honestly. It's one of the only good things that ever can. What's so funny about it, a lot of the Y2K aesthetic shit is one of the best things to ever come out of like TikTok or trans rights. It's kind of crazy how like the type of crowds that gravitate towards it the most, as opposed to like the kind of people you knew that were like into it or whatever. And it's like it's the same people, but it's like, well, goddamn, that speaks to the versatility of good properties, doesn't it? Absolutely, it does. I just I mean, it had like a graffiti soul, as it coins. You know, it had, like I already said, it had the aesthetics, but it had like the momentum. It had the sense of momentum. It had the sense of like you're doing rad, rebellious shit. But it kind of made you feel like, you know, it left things open-ended enough that you can kind of project it. Jesus Christ. You can project your own, like, sense of what you're doing and why you're doing it into the game, you know. It wasn't like heavy-handing any political ideology or anything. Contrary to belief, because I was watching like some like Jet Set Radio Future documentary, and Lord knows I want to. Ah! There we go. Lord knows I want to be able to like watch a bunch of shit like that because I love Jet Set Radio Future. It was one of my first games ever. It's my favorite game ever. For that reason, I was watching this motherfucker make like a documentary about it. It was a well-produced documentary. The only issue was it was kind of focused on like. He started talking about like critical race theory at some point, and I'm like, you're missing the whole fucking point, dude. There's so much more value in just understanding that something is cool and then just dissecting what made it cool, not really dissecting it like exactly like what kind of like what it existed, what it did to like pull on the fucking counterculture at the time or whatever. Fuck, it's like it's not sure. Through the pipeline, the things are that deep. But it's just not. It's retarded to even pretend that any of that stuff was the cool part. You know, I don't like the conversation of like representation or whatever. I don't like the conversation of like, and this is coming from like a black boy with 20% honky in him. You know, I don't fucking care about representation bullshit. I don't care about like the fucking like whatever kind of other historical things that kind of that mattered in like a civil rights sort of manner to the type of music that they're using. I care about what exists, like, outside of that. What came out of those things and how rad it fucking is. I don't need to know about those particular hardships or whatever, try to associate with that, because the job of just creating something pleasurable that includes certain elements and aspects that come from all kinds of influences and all kinds of people without even having to think about it, and it's already there, and it's already making you happy, it's already making you fucking like, and you fucking enjoy yourself. Mission accomplished. You don't have, like, adding more context to it, and especially, like, there's certain realms of history certain people do not need to be talking about, because, first of all, a lot of people aren't even that affected by it. There's certain motherfuckers who do talk about certain aspects of, like, living that aren't affected by that as much as other people are. And it's better in the hands of them talking about it, really, but even in that case, it's not appropriate to take something that is simply just there to be rad, and its inclusivity, all the aspects of what it's meant to do, all the things that you want to have in your little utopia, it will accomplish that in short-seated bursts as long as you just keep it fucking simple. It is just cool. It is just rad. It doesn't have to, like, having to explain what's cool about it is one of the issues that, and the only reason that video existed is because explaining what's rad about something, or like having a college mentality, like a brainwashed college mentality, not even like you've been in the real world and you communicated with different types of people and actually befriended motherfuckers and actually had your own experiences, good or bad, and in like a fucking limp dick college sort of way. They're on the same mindset that people who make AAA games just to snuff fucking millions of dollars out of people who are like non-binary, who actually don't give a fuck about those games. Or like they're on that mentality. They're on that train. They're conforming to that fear-based mentality of like, if I don't seem like I'm bringing those aspects up, someone's gonna come to my house and fuck my shit to pieces. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, like, less is more. Having less to like overanalyze, I guess is the irony of saying that. Having less to sort of like, not even overanalyze, having less to like analyze outside of the point, the real essence, the real core of something. Like, the more it has the ability to sort of breathe life into the individual, you know, and that really does sum it up. Having art that allows the individual to enjoy it instead of just having to make something that's for the collective is better. It's much better to like give something that, like, overall, like a game or whatever the fuck, or like a movie or anything, like, you know, anime, manga, or whatever the fuck. Anything that's going to be shared in a wide range is just meant to be... It is meant to ultimately appeal to more than just one person. But you have to consider that there's going to be all kinds... If you want more people to enjoy what the hell you're doing, you have to actually care to make it versatile without it being bland, without it being lifeless. You have to make it something that's, like, rad enough that you can kind of... And that's how old shit was anyways, especially old cartoons. Like, it was rad enough that it wasn't really picking any sides other than just it being itself, and I can kind of vibe with that shit, and that's all that really mattered. And on an individual level, I can enjoy it, you know? I shouldn't have to, like, feel as though on, like, a collective level there's a reason I should enjoy it, and I should enjoy it this fucking way or whatever the fuck. It's just, it's retarded and it's egregious, and it actually is just evil. Anybody who does just sort of push for, like, and you know what? You should think about this way, because this villain is this villain is a cisgendered motherfucker, and as you can see, what we've done with the protagonist and everything, they're marginalized. So don't fucking do shit like that. Have whatever fucking characters that you desire in whatever kind of depiction, but you actually ruin your point and completely destroy, like, you destroy your fight by making it obvious there's a fight, because you had to make it obvious, then it wasn't appealing, it didn't make any sense, it wasn't good, it wasn't, like, actually nutritious for the mind. It wasn't something that, like, and again, if you can do something that's, like, unique to you, and you're a different weird motherfucker or some shit, and other people liked it any goddamn ways, mission accomplished. It's just, there are ways to be yourself and let people know that without having to, like, without having to, like, tell people or dictate to people what they should like about it, or, like, make it all about one particular thing, which renders your product fucking absolutely hard to watch. Like, that should not be top of your list at all. And you would think, because a lot of that comes from more, like, you know, the over like saturated sort of second-hand information, college-brained motherfuckers who you would think day one those type of people, which was a side I used to be on, honestly, as far as just like be yourself, be weird or whatever the fuck. It's like like at some point I grew not really out of that, but I grew into the idea that you need to manage that at some point and actually think about things in a more like like really present sort of way. I mean, you would think one of their mottos was just like, you know, we exist without labels. What the fuck do you have now? You have nothing but labels. And it's good to label things based on just genre or whatever. I'm not I'm not a person who thinks like genres should like go without names just because everything can be super unique and it's you shouldn't limit it to this one name. I think that's bullshit, because if I went to the store and I wanted a specific thing, but everything on the shelf just said food, and it was all in mysterious, same-looking boxes, I would be fucking pissed. I don't care that the contents on the inside is different. If I can't label it and I can't fucking narrow down my search because I've identified that I enjoy a very specific type of thing, and I would like to know what the fuck I'm getting into or getting. You know, that's just how that should work. You know, nothing should go nameless. It's just our expectations for what it is should always be like, yeah, it can be unpredictable. Anything can be anything. Like that should be the thing, but having a label is fine. I think specifically labels are for the customer or for the public. To really put it in perspective, like just to give everything its credence, labels should be for the public or should be for the customer. No labels should be there for the creator, but the creator should be aware of labels, because the creator should be aware of, like, again, it's the innocent little cesspool I was talking about, where you're just putting yourself in the midst of all the types of things that you enjoy, that inspire you, and you just want to give tribute to it all, or just give tribute to yourself or the fucking whatever way possible. And it's so messy and kaleidoscopic and abstract, you're not going to want to have labels attached to it because it'll be so unique to you. You know what I mean? It'll feel like it'll be something that hasn't ever really been done before or whatever. Like, you don't, I think creators don't have to bruise their ego by, like, giving every little thing that they do some kind of a fucking label or whatever. I think, however, once the thing has been created, you do need to name it. Like, well, like creation literally is like a fertility, like pagan-ass fucking metaphysical, poetic metaphor, you know? Like, when you have an idea, when you have a creative thing you want to do, it is just incubating in the womb for however much amount of time after some kind of, like, cosmic spark hit your mind to be able to digest it or ingest it or whatever the fuck. It's you need, like, once you give it time to truly form out of its fragile state, once it's finally ready to emerge and be like start to operate on its own, it does need a name, it does need like a home, and it does need to be nurtured properly. Like, that's how that works. And a lot of artists struggle to get out of that place, that like more feminine mind space where you're nurturing something, you're allowing it to be like incubated very intimately inside of yourself, and it's so intimate that whatever you like, you can't really let go of it enough to like when it's incubating, you don't want to take it out while it's still cooking and then judge it for what it is. You want to be in a place where you don't have any judgment whatsoever. I'm turned around. You want to be in a place where you have no judgment whatsoever about the kind of thing that you're taking in, because you're still forming it, right? Like, that's fair. You don't want to take the baby out before it's done, if you believe in that sort of thing. you don't want to take the baby out before it's done or anything, because you're getting to enjoy this new thing. You're allowing it to like kind of shift in you. It makes you moody and shit. It has you on a bad sleeping schedule. It makes you all fucking you go crazy for the motherfucker. But it is yours, and it's something that's incredibly intimate. But a lot of people don't want to take it out of incubation. A lot of people do not want to take what they they create out of incubation and make it much more of an attached experience than it needs to be, because then they don't realize how much. Oh my god, they don't realize how much it like hinders your ability to actually properly create. I don't know how to lock on. I forgot. Like that's where you have issues where like people will be working on certain projects and they'll be and clearly they don't really have a direction for it. Clearly they probably had people on board to like edit or correct it in some way, shape, or form, and it's clear that the creator was like, no, I want to fucking do it like this. Yeah, that doesn't make sense though. They're gonna have sex with a werewolf and they don't like it. Like, okay. Alright, they're like a 13-year-old ladybug, but we'll get it done for you, I suppose. Whatever the fuck. Like the type of people that make like projects really hard because of that shit, they're the people who don't want to, who are not done incubating. And so you have to identify one of two things there. Do you need more time to solidify this idea before it's ready to be born, or are you just holding on to it too long? You know, you need to identify what your state of mind is and what part of like, oh my god, you have to identify like what part of like your journey you're on to really have some kind of responsibility for what you're gonna do next. You know, you always have to identify, am I in a place where I need to be more stationary, or do I have to like go? And most people are gonna aim for like, you know, yeah, I'm stationary, whatever, even if they are truly ready. But it's one of those things you have to be honest with yourself, and I think that's another thing. That's really the word, honesty. That's another thing that bothers me about like the monotony of just drawing girls constantly or whatever the fuck. And like, I'm using this as an example. If the paradigm right now, if like the world that we're living in, like artists were just only drawing fucking mailmen, like then I would have complaints about that too. It's not just because of like some incel rant. I promise. I promise it's not an incel rant. I absolutely. But fucking. It's not. But I fucking like the monotony is like it bothers the part of me that just does want to see more honest artwork. And I think more honest artwork would kind of like probably depict, I don't know, it would at least make fun of itself. I think that's honest. You know what I mean? I feel like some of the best art does just sort of like, it doesn't have to like make fun of itself in like constant meme-ish ways. I know that's what like meme art usually is or whatever the fuck, but I think like a sense of self-awareness, a sense of like, okay, I've gone in this direction, I want to try to switch it up in this way or whatever the fuck. I think, I feel like, I know for a fact a lot of these artists, and almost all of them, all artists have the capacity to do what I'm talking about. It's just the pressure to not do it is really strong, and the rewards for like you're drawing like smut or whatever the fuck, or just like cute girls or whatever or something. The most that you have to worry about is like anatomy, clothing, you know, fucking really all artistic principles. It's just a lot of it isn't. A lot of it has more to do with like aesthetic based sort of like advertisement, sort of magazine selfie bullshit. Like it's just a lot of selfie artistry. You know what I mean? And a lot of it is not like really speaking to who the artist really is. And with all the kind of conversations I've had with people, it's like, you know, a lot of artists are not too bothered by this fact. They're just like, you know, they make what they make because they think it's cute or whatever, and like that's fine and dandy. I just think like kind of ignoring whatever else you could be doing that could like add on to what you're creating is stifling. And it will eventually putrefy or whatever. And people like putrid, I get it, but it's not fair to yourself to like keep yourself at that level. It doesn't make any sense to me, because it's not honest. There's way more things out there that you personally enjoy. There's things out there that you will be like, there's just more shit out there, you know? there's more to you than just that one thing. It's just like it's like when you see a brony that has nothing but just brony shit in their room, and they're like 28 or something, and you're thinking to yourself, did you not like anything else before this fucking thing came around? How is that possible? And you know what? Maybe there's some kind of like a mental case study, like outside of the outside of being a brony, what that like what that implies. I'm like that the type of mindset to like be able to stay stuck on one thing and be hyper dedicated to it might be one of the reasons why a lot of like audience members for certain artists are more responsive to certain just gooner shit, you know? Because as far as any kind of like commodity that can be advertised so easily without a word, like girls are a massive commodity in every which way, between like streaming, the fucking like VTubing, the fucking just like posing in front of shit that has nothing to do with being a girl. Like it's, I mean, girls shit is so popular, guys want to be one. You can't fight that. you can't fight that form of like progress right there. I mean, a lot of that's industrial anyways. That's a business. That is an industry doing that. That is a fucking, I don't care how controversial it sounds, that is just the goddamn truth. That is an industry helping to further that feeling so that you then go for the things that girls usually deal with as far as economics, right? They buy the kind of like cosmetics, their clothing, and all this type of shit. That's sort of more glamorized, like social media, or even like femboy sort of like like fucking Discord kitten lifestyle. That comes with expenses. That comes with habits that are that yield like habits that are just based on collecting a lot of shit, like just collecting material things, being very materialistic with shit. Like that sort of that kind of girl that's being advertised everywhere, that's not representative of all fucking ladies obviously, but that's that type of lady. If you can get her to fucking want what you have, you make a fucking you can clean the house of all profit constantly. You that is a cash cow, a golden fucking Tauros, man. That is invaluable. That is a gold mine upon gold mines upon gold mines, just because of how versatile an attraction towards that is. An attraction for a female, an attraction of wanting to be more feminine, quote unquote. How profitable that is. And like being able to profit off of just cosmetic side of that alone to other females is one thing, but to then in a way basically create an atmosphere where cosmetic surgery is now a part of that, more so than it ever has before. Like, not just with, like, you know, facelifts or fucking, like, fake titties or anything for, like, strippers, but I mean, like, it's, like, literally getting a guy in the position, getting a male, in a position to then transition with those same sensibilities and feel comfortable in that new realm. That's crazy. That's insane. What is that? Oh my goodness. Oh my god. Oh, it's like I'm being invaded. It's like I'm being invaded. This is what I get for talking shit about trans people. They've come to get me. It's right there. But no. I already said I'm their ally because they like Y2K shit. I'm all for it. As long as they keep up that aesthetic, I absolutely adore everything they do. I love those little guys, gals. Fucking, what was I saying? So yeah, no, like female shit is just part of a huge, like a bigger sort of multi-conglomerate sort of industry, because it leads to other shit. It leads to other shit. If you're like super like into just the gooning aspect of just like you need to be visually appealed to things, just on that one level alone, right? Without having to change your appearance, just you'll buy a fuckload of anime figures, dude. You're gonna buy a fuckload of like Well, yeah, anime figures, because I don't really, like, anything else is just, like, other kind of, like, decorative apparel, but, like, figurines are fucking, like, $200 and shit, dude. And it's only gonna get more expensive as time goes on. They're getting way more intricate, they're getting way more available for other people who do their own thing online or whatever the fuck to make their own shit, you know what I mean? It's insane. I'm gonna die, holy shit. Does this thing have a life force? Is it dead? Is it gone? Ah! Okay. So yeah, it's just it's one of those things where, like, you know, it's everything was always trying to sell something. Ah, this is not good. Ah! I blame you for that. So, like, everything has always, especially within like more popular art industries, has been made to just sell you on shit or whatever the fuck. Yeah, but like, there was always heart to it. I feel like there's less heart to it now. There's definitely, it's from a bird's eye view when you really kind of, if you've either OD'd on the shit or really never cared about it, you disconnect and you have a moment of conscious sobriety and you're like, what the fuck is going on? What are they selling me? Why is it that I'm watching yet another chick modifying her voice to sound like a high-pitched Japanese lamb scream obscenities, Coomer obscenities to Phasmophobia yet again? Why are we in this position? And I just can't help but wonder. I just see it all over the place, is all I'm saying. And like, there's another point I was making before, probably like an hour ago, that I picked up and I dropped, I think. But there was something interesting about the whole, like, everyone drawing girls sort of thing. Because, like, because I get it when it comes to, like, dudes, like, fucking, like, learning how to draw chicks or whatever. If they're, like, into chicks or, like, straight dudes fucking, like, being like, yeah, alright, whatever, I'll learn how to make this, like, smutty bullshit. I guess it makes sense for girls to draw girls as well, obviously. If it's not, because I'm talking about, like, the most popular stuff is going to be, like, smut or whatever, right? Easily. But, like, whatever straight girls, that aren't into girls do it, that did confuse me. I was like, I would suspect they draw, like, more, I don't know, like shoujo dudes or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? Or when I drew girls, it would probably just be more like the girls they liked growing up, like magical girl shit. Like, for every dude drawing Dragon Ball Z, there's gonna be a girl drawing fucking Sailor Moon or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? But, I think guys have very easily co-opted the spaces, the illustrative or creative spaces that girls usually, like, consisted of. I think the biggest crater for that, and it's not like everyone was on this, but I always feel like people are kind of like, I think people's mindsets are like certain events that people partake in like large ways does speak to different conditions the mind can sort of exist in. The mind can be in a state of, regardless of the subject matter. I think brony shit definitely made it obvious that it's possible in some way for males and adult males to be completely and utterly infatuated with a medium that was meant for the polar opposite of who they are, for whatever reason. And for the most part, brony shit grew because it was just a desire for, like, it is just the fact that motherfuckers have a serotonin deficiency. That's one of the biggest reasons. Like, honestly, easily. And what's interesting about that is, like, on the same side, the girls who are into that shit are, like, were, like, bronies, like Pegasisters or whatever the fuck, which they don't like the name of. They were into it for reasons that any girl would be into. They're just like, it's cute. There's sort of a naive nature to it of just, like, why other guys are into it or whatever the fuck. And of course, it got degenerate, obviously, easily, because it's supposed to. When you get guys sexually aroused by certain things, well, even when you get guys' attention in the certain things, it will eventually turn into like some Rule 34 shit. But a lot of brony shit also back in the day was just sort of funny too, like Pony Thread Simulator bullshit, like the 4chan threads, like, real or not, a lot of the degenerate shit was just hilarious entertainment, and it was just like fucking them being all self-deprecating about it. It made the analysis kind of obvious that, like, yeah, if you're like if usually if you're a guy and you're into a lot of like serotonin heavy fucking shit or whatever the fuck, or like super hypersexual like gooner masturbatory shit, like to a crippling degree, you're probably suffering from a deficiency. Something just isn't complete in your life is what that usually means, and that's fucked up. And that's something that, I mean, one thing about our generation, I'd say, because I like Gen Z started what? I'm like one of the older Gen Zers, fucking like 1996. We're largely like dumb and loveless. Like if we're not dumb, then we are. If we're not loveless, then we are like probably dumb. You know what I mean? And if we're not dumb, we're probably loveless, or we can just be fucking both. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just there was something lost about how to connect with each other, and I think in a lot of ways, I mean, music can also influence that. Pop culture sort of shit influences that. Just what's in influences that. Just the small, sort of seemingly arbitrary, like superficial shit does dictate a lot how we socialize, and art plays a big role in that. You know, I think that it's pretty clear that, like, I mean, like, it's crazy, right? How effective art is, because the quote-unquote male fantasy, I don't know, it is gooner bullshit, whatever, but, like, ah, God, I love saying gooner. That shit is, like much, it is rampant, but it's crazy that we're in an era right now where, like, not only is it, like, okay to be a fucking dweeb or a weeb or whatever the fuck, it's like, girls are taking note of that shit and just dressing up in that shit. They're actually falling very deeply into the resonating aspects that guys fantasized about, but in a way that they're kind of making it sort of their own or whatever the fuck, but in like a lonely way. I mean, I think like that's cute, but falling for that shit does kind of take away from the substance of like a healthier relationship than that, or like seeing deeper aspects of each other, you know, without having to like have all this other, I don't know, it's just background shit. I mean, it's just something to connect with. Bam, bitch. Okay, it is something to just connect with, I guess, but it's like I don't know. I think there's just so much more. There's so much more, because there's nothing new under the sun, you know. We're always recycling old things, and a lot of older things have more substance to them, and I don't see a lot of that substance being reincarnated yet. You know what I mean? But oh god damn! Speaking of that, back to the isekai bullshit. The like harem bullshit. That's all the isekai bullshit is. How the fuck is it that we have so many isekai at this point now? The autism has gotten so rotten that you have one of a... I almost vomited. You have one of a fucking vending machine. How is that possible? An isekai have a fucking vending machine. Are you goddamn fucking kidding me? And yes. Oh yes, he has girls. Yes, girls are going to be fawning over a fucking vending machine. Yes, absolutely. It never breaks formula. And all the fucking, and all these like what, fucking 8-9 years that I've been fucking, like since I was like early in high school, just watching fucking countless hours of like bullshit like that, like isekai bullshit or like harem bullshit. And harem bullshit was around before isekai bullshit, but like it was always the same creature. What in the fuck? It's crazy. It is crazy. I don't stand with it at all. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. And I ask for more criticism and ask for, like, better shit at this point. Really. Like, really. That's where in an industry that has to, like, put so many man-hours into what they do. In an industry where, like, someone had to say, to get it animated, you know how many people said yes? How many people looked at that fucking thing and said, yeah? How many voice actors were reading this shit and they're just like, yeah? Dude, the desperation to just get paid. Oh shit, I have to kill a lolly. My dream. Fucking Lottie Slaughter. Lottie. Fucking Lolly Slaughter, baby. That's what I'm talking about. But fucking, that'd be a good game. I think that'd be a really good game. You know, here's a moment I really love watching. I think Me was one of the most like real fucking bits of animation that we've ever gotten in the last like decades or so. In the last few decades, I don't know when that came out. It was like 2009 or some shit. No, it was no. It was later than that. It was like 2014 or 13, right? Or 2000. Fuck it. Point being, that was some real shit. What I was looking at there, fighting a bunch of fucking monkeys. There's a part in that I really love, where it's like the second half, where the poor little guy, he wakes up out of a stupor and gets into action, and he starts to kick some ass, and he starts just Coomer. It's the first Coomer shooter. He's just shooting all of the fucking like horny ass demons in his fucking brain, and they splatter fucking neon blood on the walls, and he's like walking around as like the fucking environment fucking holds on. It almost looked like some fucking like high res like anime Cruelty Squad bullshit or the fuck with like with just the way the gore was splattering. I think that would be amazing as a real game. Just like to take all the me motherfuckers and just play that game. Just play the game of like, I'm no longer a Coomer. I don't want to be horny anymore. I just want to be happy bullshit. You know what I mean? That would be funny. That would also be very risky because people would call it misogynistic, despite the fact that I thought, you know, misogynistic shit was exploiting girls. So you would think hacking and slashing, or not even hacking and slashing, just like just fucking blowing up sluts wouldn't be a problem. Well, I'm not slut shaming. I'm just saying. I'm just saying it would just be funny. I think that would be an amazing way to still like have sexy shit, but also therapeutically get over it. Sounds like the talk of someone who has a problem. You're goddamn right. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know nothing. I would like to, if you made it to the end of this, I would like to apologize to sluts, the women who do what other ones didn't want to, but took one for the team so that we could pleasure ourselves. I'd like to apologize because you've done a lot for me and so many others. You've been very profitable, and I love learning from the things you do to other men and other women, so that I can continue to make drawings that make me money. Thank you. Thank you. We all win. I would like to apologize to the I would like to apologize to the trans community for saying the only good thing that came out of your movement was enjoying and making art of Y2K aesthetics. But I mean, come on. But oh my god, dude! Every time I make like a trans joke, I get my ass whooped. But come on now. That's gotta be the best thing. But do be careful. Do be careful out there. Don't be sold so quickly into like removing parts of yourself. You gotta find love where it counts. Don't fall for the scam. Be a thrifty tranoid. Be a thrifty transformer. That's my humble advice. Oh my god. Am I humble? Yeah. Who else would I like to apologize to? I would like to apologize to the black community, my community, for making reference to Across the Spider-Verse and how much I didn't actually enjoy that movie nearly as much as everyone else did. I'm sorry. I just don't like watching 2.5 hour long fucking trailers for shit. I'm sorry. I did not enjoy that part where I'm supposed to learn that, oh, chai tea is just saying TT. I'm sorry, I don't like that guy that much. It's nothing personal. Ah! I keep dying, man. This fucking sucks. I can't talk shit about the trans community or the Into the Spider-Verse black community without getting my shit rocked. God damn. Defeated by a lolly. Literally, okay, lollies, to add one more point to what I was saying, the Gooner bullshit, the final phase of that is just lollies. I don't have to tell you how I feel about that. I just, as someone who advocates for like a lolly, oh my god, as someone who advocates for a lolly slaughter video game, I don't have to tell you how I feel in regards to that final phase, but I'm telling you that is the final form. At the top of this, like, we need to reroute it. At the top of this matrix, at the helm of it, is none other than a fucking demon lolly that's 9 million years old. Literally. Like, that's the consciousness that is your final boss, because they're the most gooned, by far. And I will not make apologies to that community. I fucking hate you. I make no apologies for that one. You get nothing, buddy. I'm sorry, fuck. You've done me no favors. Absolutely not. I mean, the slut community has done me favors. The trans community has done me favors. The black Twitter community has done me favors. Lollies? Nothing. Lollicons have given me nothing. Absolutely nothing. You were fucking worthless. But other than that, so yeah, that's why we draw girls and stuff. They're cute, and really, there's no big deal. Oh my god.
I love y'all niggas. I get it fucking nookie. I got that box, you know what I'm saying? All that shit.